Hey guys, and welcome back to another devlog.
CodeThings, it's been over a month. Where are the devlogs?
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting. Like, where have you been?
No, like, seriously, dude. Is there finally one coming out again?
Well, finally, after a little over a month, I have a pretty big update for you guys in reference to the development of Evie, and trust me, you're going to want to see this. Also, if you guys want to catch me working on the game in real time, I do live streams pretty often at this point, with me just working on the game while talking to the chat, and it's always pretty fun and filled with me just answering questions and talking to many people from the CodeThings community. So if you want to join me in the next live, make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications. Also, it would mean a lot if you guys could like this video. Alright, no more waiting. Let's get right into what I've been up to with Evie. So shortly after the last devlog, I wanted to start working on the living quarters, as that is where the main character will be at the beginning of the game. While building this portion of the map, I had a lot of fun prototyping exactly where I wanted everything to go, and I had many different iterations of where I wanted certain props / furniture to go. So much so that I started drawing and sketching on Microsoft Paint to draw a good overview of the rooms and that section of the map in its entirety. After many hours of designing that part of the map, it is mostly finished, at least in its main architectural design. I still have a lot more to do in terms of little props or decals and interactable objects and the like, but as of right now, I like it a lot, and I'm pretty proud with how it came out. Once I had the main character's room and also the entirety of the living quarters planned out, I thought deeply about the story of the game and the exact direction I want to go with it. I had an idea before, but I really wanted to think deeply, and to me it made most sense if the character was wearing a body camera as a source of evidence of his endeavors on this expedition, and also a way of tracking everything he does. Because of this camera, I wanted to make a cool post-processing effect that gave off the effect of a sort of older camcorder, which is the lens us, the character, is looking out of. In order to do this, I created a couple of different post-processing effects in sharpening, blurring, but also depth of field and a lens distortion that I think really brings together the feeling of looking out of a camcorder. Additionally, it really hides some of the lackluster meshes in terms of quality and can also improve a bit of fidelity, because for certain meshes, I can decrease its poly count to increase performance, which basically means it's just a win-win. Here's how it came out, and honestly, I like it, but I definitely think there's more to add, with maybe a few more scratch type of effects to the screen for scratches on the camera lens, or maybe making the camera more affected by lighting. I'm not too sure yet, but as of right now, I think it looks pretty good and I'm happy with it. Now I knew that once I had the first person camera and all the effects taken care of, it was finally time to start the main intro cinematic that will start off the game. A lot of AAA game studios do this as a way to immerse the player and really make the player feel like they are the main character themselves. I also know that it works particularly well with scarier games, especially psychological horrors or sci-fi horror games, because it is already far-fetched, and anything first person like this can really make the player playing the game feel more connected to the character. Also, I keep referring to the main character of my game as the main character, because previously I called him Alex Mercer, and when I said that, then I was like, but that sounds a little familiar. Then I realized later that it sounded so familiar because it was literally the name of the main character in Prototype. So now I will be referring to him as main character until I get a name for him. But if anyone has any good name suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. Maybe I'll use one of them in the game. Anyways, back to the cinematics. So I realized while doing the cinematic that with the use of the body camera effect I talked about earlier, it would be cool to show him picking up a camera and actually utilizing that body camera effect. But wait, I can't use the regular Unreal Engine mesh for the cinematic. I mean, look at him. I can't use that. So I had to desperately search for one, looking for a mesh that could somehow look like an astronaut. And after digging through my Unreal Engine vault and looking through countless Sketchfab astronaut meshes, I realized I really only had 3 options. Option 1. I work religiously in Blender, sculpting and crafting an astronaut and make it resembling exactly what I'm looking for in my game, taking days, if not weeks, just to make him look good enough to be the main character of my game. Or option 2, I retarget all the bones and make an entirely new skeleton compatible with the one from the Unreal Engine 5 skeletal mesh, and buy a really good skin from the Sketchfab marketplace or some other online distributor. Or my personal favorite, option 3, just use some skin that I already have in my Unreal Engine vault that I can somehow make look like an astronaut. So that's what I did. And thankfully, I had just the one in mind. I know, he doesn't look very astronauty, but after some tinkering and finessing to make his suit match with what a regular astronaut would wear, I finally came up with what you're seeing right now. And I don't know, to the naked eye, I don't really think they would know all along it was a military man, but the life of an indie dev, I guess. So now that I had this down, it was now finally time to work on the cinematics. So I worked on it, and eventually I created something that I was really happy with. It took a lot of time, and I mean a lot of time, as well as a ton of editing to get it to look fully accurate with the hand and finger placement, but finally, I got a result that I think looks pretty good, so here it actually is.
Just so we are clear, You understand that you are not permitted to tell any persons about this besides the crew you're on board with, correct?
Correct.
You also understand that all of this must be recorded in case something unforeseen takes place, correct?
Correct. Just tell me when we're getting started.
Danger. Emergency power generator activated. Danger.
So yeah, it looks pretty good, I think. After I added this though, I realized that the player might be a bit confused, so I decided to add a little notification system using this blueprint that essentially makes it so I can type whatever I want into the trigger and it will show up as the current objective. This is a good temporary system, but once the game's development progresses, I'm going to have to create a much more advanced system to handle the objectives and checkpoints so that there'll be a valid save system, but for now, it works. I also made an emphasis on making the footsteps sound more realistic by adding some more reverb and making them change in their pitch and volume depending on how fast the character is moving. Surprisingly, it was pretty simple and just added a few more things to my footstep tutorial on my channel. By the way, if you want to learn more about that. But yeah, honestly, I spent a decent amount of time making these footsteps sound really good, especially for a space environment, but I feel like they sound a little bit more like you're stepping on wood. So I don't know, I might change them in the future and tinker with them with some of the audio settings, but for now, I'm going to keep them like this. There were also a bunch of small things I had to create and edit. For example, the Sci-Fi door system was interesting because I had to create a system that is locked or unlocked and also make it slide up and down depending on if the character is close by. It took a little bit to get it to work the way I wanted, but thankfully after a bit of time, I finally got the doors to work the way they're supposed to. Basically, if you're close to the door and it isn't locked and you've already opened it, it'll slide open. But if it's locked, it won't open at all and you'll have to find a key to unlock it. It actually works pretty smoothly and even closes if it recognizes you wanted to open it but then decided to go back in the area you were initially in. Speaking of recognizing where you are, I also have been working on a surveillance system and a security camera system for the game. I won't say too much about its importance or meaning in the game, but let's just say I wanted to make a system where while the character is walking around, security cameras would be following him and giving him an ominous feeling that you're always being watched. In saying this, I also wanted to give a station where you could look around the space station as well, so I made a surveillance system. Here you're going to be able to cycle through all the cameras on the space station, and I plan on doing a lot of different scary things with these. I feel like it will provide a lot of scenarios to give the character either jump scares or very creepy scenes, and overall just give a really horror-filled experience. Obviously, I'm not completely done this yet, but as I go through the development, I will update you guys about this system. Besides this though, I added what is going to be the power room for the game. There's going to be many changes, and this is just the first iteration of the room, but as of right now, I am brainstorming some ways to improve it. I'm definitely going to add some puzzles with this and make it more interactive with the player, but I also wanted to add more sci-fi elements and make it much more creepy in terms of aesthetic. But with this and the living quarters added to the map, I really had to start with level streaming to ensure it was performant on almost any above average machine. Since I want almost any PC to be able to play this game, I need to utilize Unreal's level streaming and other optimization techniques, and in doing so, the performance got a lot better. I actually decided to make the level streaming really complex in the sense that every place has two separate levels, one for the exterior and one for the interior. I did this so that I could hide the interior part of the space station while still displaying the exterior to the people that are looking out of a window, for example. Also, that last skybox for the space environment from the last devlog was not good enough, so I had to update that and use a better one. Thankfully, after looking through my Unreal Engine Vault, I realized I had one that is super configurable and is actually perfect for the effect I'm looking for. I think it looks really realistic, and it honestly looks even better in the development of the next edition I'm going to be showing you guys. The main menu is a part of the game that I knew, although not the most important, had to really give the vibe of sci-fi and all of its horror elements. I feel like it paints a really good feeling of hopelessness while also being visually appealing and hopefully looking realistic. I made this cool earth material that changes while the earth moves and also added some movement to the earth so that it stimulates how the earth moves in real life. If you actually just sit on the screen and just wait, you'll see the world will just keep rotating and rotating on forever. But again, I am just an indie dev, so all these little things, although may feel small to the player playing the game, take a lot of time, and honestly, for any indie dev watching, you should pat yourself on the back and know that if I can make a game like this, you 100% can as well. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this devlog and you liked seeing some of the progression made with Evie. If you guys have any suggestions, things you think would be cool additions, or maybe quality of life changes, I would love to hear them down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you all in the next devlog.